today. Beej isn't here, so I guess we'll never know what the wolf story is. This is ChillPoint.
No one will ever know.
Nope.
Except for those people who are in the Discord who he told the answer to in the thread about the episode.
What? Completely ruining the suspense.
Driving more people to the Discord.
That's true. So if you want to know, you're going to have to sign up to the Discord.
Yeah, we legally cannot tell you. Also, well, I mean, I could go look it up, but I'm not going to. Let's face it. This day is not for you, it's for me. Therefore, I do nothing.
Hey everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint show where we talk about the week's video gaming news, and it's not for you.
It's not for you. It's just for us. This is Paul. I'm Heather. If you have complaints, send them to Beej.
Yeah. And we're talking about the week's video game news as well as the episode of ChillPoint that went up. Now, we gave some homework during the episode or at the end of the episode. We gave a test.
Yes.
To people. We said, who wrote which story,
and many of you
I'm
did
afraid,
not do well. I don't want to say failed because it seems so mean. Needs improvement. There we go.
Yeah,
that's better.
Yeah,
somehow, right?
We don't do we don't do fail mark. Yeah, we do that like see me after class.
No, I don't do that. I don't have office hours.
I don't want to see. Yeah,
I don't want to see anyone after class. I want to go home.
So for the purposes of your answer key, the
Disco Elysium.
The first story was the Game Freaks leak.
Oh right, Game Freak leak.
That was written by Nelson. Mm-hmm. Disco Elysium was written by Graham. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The
Butt
Battler game was written by Beej. And the Destiny one was written by Kathleen.
Now, I will give you all partial marks for those of you who gave your reasoning for your answers, even if they were incorrect.
It's true.
Because as we know, with most tests, the majority of your marks actually show up for showing your work.
Yeah.
For those of you who just guessed...
Your work was wrong, but at least you showed it.
Better luck next time. But the Sonic story, no one wrote a Sonic story. There was a Sonic story. We'll get to that.
I do kind of I did kind of like the there's some folks in the comments were disappointed that they never got to hear the Sonic story.
It's not that interesting.
That we're suppressing.
We've made it sound way more interesting than it is. It's so uninteresting. I didn't read it past the headline.
But let's start with something that is pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, pretty big, actually.
This is the Game Freaks hack, the server hack that happened. Mm-hmm. As a side note, a lot of people are calling it a leak. That kind of annoys me.
It's not a leak.
Yeah.
It's true, but it's more fun to say Game Freak leak because it rhymes.
It's true, but my I don't know if this is like strictly how it is, but my personal definition is like a leak is somebody who legitimately has access to that information giving it where they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like making it public.
Breaking an NDA or something.
Yeah. A hack is somebody who should not have that information taking it, stealing it. And
yeah.
So it's like a leak is like freely given,
like a thief
even
in the
though
night.
they aren't supposed to. A hack is taken.
Right. So leaks are consensual by people who didn't consent, and hacks are non-consensual completely.
So
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it was a hack of the Game Freaks, a specific Game Freaks server. They made off with terabytes worth of information.
Yeah, and
which is
of
why
course
this is now the Tera leak instead of the previous Giga leak.
Yeah, and of course, along with that, with the fun information that we're all going to explore and maybe look at, there was some other information that is personal and employee driven and things that
which is
really suck.
Yeah, the sort of not fun, the not not good part of this, or I mean, it's not, leak stuff isn't necessarily good, but it's fun for us on the outside that we get to see some of the things that wouldn't normally be. It's almost like in the same way as things come out like in lawsuits. It's that weird little, like, you get the little window into some of the like insider process that you wouldn't otherwise access.
Yeah, so like the fun stuff that we got to see was like some alternate Pokemon designs, some designs I believe for stuff that never
there's a lot
of drafts, essentially, right? Stuff that just never came to be, didn't get used yet.
Considering the number of Pokemon that exist, and to be fair, as somebody who has played a couple of the Pokemon games, the number of, shall we say, Pokemon that feel like they were maybe, the 4 o'clock on a Friday submission. There's some Pokemon that definitely seem phoned in.
So
the number of Pokemon that didn't make it, like the number of concept Pokemon that didn't make it into the game, I find quite amazing considering what did make it into the game.
Well, I mean, one of the ones I've seen that a lot of people have like seem to be in love with is this little bunny with a tube or something. And I agree. There's a lot of Pokemon where you look at it and you're like, you kind of phoned that in. But when you have to like draw a lot of concept art and a lot of things all at once, I expect to see some of that in there. And as we all know, as you should know, if you're designing something for someone and you put in a concept that you're like, this is dumb, no one will ever pick it, that's the one they're going to pick. That is 100% the one they're picking, even though there should be no reason for them to do it. It's clearly the dump stat of whatever thing you were putting in because you were like, I have to fill out 4 of these or something. That's the one they will pick. Never put in the thing that you really don't want them to pick, even if it's meant to show them why they shouldn't do it, because people will do the thing you don't want. Anyway.
Yeah. They always
100% of the time.
Is it the surprise inspection kind of thing? We're like, some of these Pokemon, I don't know. My favorite one is always from Scarlet and Violet, the flamingo.
Oh, it's just actually called flamingo.
That is just a flamingo.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be in any way different than an actual flamingo.
Well, that's what makes like early,
and it's called Flamigo.
early Pokemon really fun, because especially like the anime, right, is Pidgey's just a bird, right? Magikarp really is just kind of a fish. Like they're very simple, and it's like Pokemon, less monsters and more like just all the animals, except the very early anime does have some animals in there that's not Pokemon, but as it goes on, those stop existing.
Anyway, so yeah, what I find kind of interesting about these stories, about something like the leak, is that, often a news, a blog or a news site like, Polygon or Kotaku or whatever, will get, 5 or 6 or more stories out of a story like this, because, you can hit it from all sorts of different angles. You can do talking about the employee data that was lost. You can talk about the unreleased Pokemon. You can talk about...
Yeah, you're doing the unreleased Pokemon. You could probably do 10 different stories on that, because you can do one per thing.
You could talk about what we did here with the mythological backstories that apparently were being brewed up. what people in the comment, so the checkpoint story was talking about specifically talking about Typhlosion, and apparently that there was a story, a sort of mythological origins story that was written. And we don't quite know, maybe we do now, but at least the stuff that I was looking at didn't necessarily have like the context of where that was found. Presumably it was, and just sort of, it was part of the sort of brainstorming process.
Yeah.
And as many people have pointed out, it shares a lot of similarities with other Japanese folktales, and in fact, folktales from all over the place.
A lot of folktales are more brutal and weird than you think.
The skin thing is very like a sulky.
Yeah. It actually made me think of the Japanese folktale about the oni, because there's like a red one and a blue one, and stuff that went on with them kind of had a similarity to that, but
Yeah. And Greek mythology is all over that kind of stuff too. So it's an interesting idea, and it's like, but why would you like write out the whole thing? Like, there's no way it's going to be used in any form. Like, why would you sort of have that? But who knows?
Starting points. I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, everybody wants to know everything about production of every single thing that they love, which I get. I understand. I do that too. But there's a reason why none of that stuff typically gets shared. It's, you're in the brainstorming room and you want to say you can't brainstorm wrong. Yeah, I know you can, Magic players, but there's that freedom of like, just spew out everything and then take all the stuff that works. Even if you know you're not going to use stuff, it might lead to another thing.
Talking about like it can inform the character and stuff, but it's like, it's like a Pokemon. It doesn't like have a personality as such. At least certainly not in the games.
Well, not for like the video game, but for the anime, they kind of give them a little bit more. And...
But anyway, it also the first Pokemon game I played was Gold and Silver, and I did the fire was my starter, so I did in fact play with Typhlosion a lot. I'm gonna say that at least my personal Typhlosion, I didn't get any kind of those vibes from him, from the stuff that was being. So I'm just gonna say, my experience.
Your experience is different. It's true.
I'm not saying that other experiences might be different.
I mean, sometimes when you meet people, you become friends with people. The person you see today is a very different rendition of who they used to be. Yeah, those experiences help make up this person now. Those experiences help make up that Typhlosion you have now. But we don't always need to share our deepest, darkest secrets and pasts with our friends.
Look, when I was a Cyndaquil, it's a whole different deal. I'm a different Pokemon now.
It's a different Pokemon.
Literally, I'm a different Pokemon now. Anyway.
Do you have a favorite Pokemon?
I mean,
is it Typhlosion?
No, I think I actually liked, just from a design standpoint, I actually think I liked Cyndaquil better. I mean, I'm still kind of, in terms of design, I'm still kind of in Team Wooloo. Even though I know he's kind of a rubbish Pokemon.
I don't care. Wooloo is so fucking cute.
Like, it makes me sad that you never actually want to play with him.
I kept Wooloo as part. I mean, I didn't finish that game, but I kept Wooloo as part of my team, despite what people said, for longer than I should have, because I liked Wooloo.
Not only is Wooloo like not that great, but he's also like not. He's just like he's like a normal type. Doesn't actually do anything interesting, which is a shame. But he looks adorable.
I mean, if I was gonna have a real Pokemon, I mean, it wouldn't be Wooloo, because it'd be a Gengar. I'd want a fellow Gremlin, but it. I mean, like out of the things that you could have
a Wooloo. That's just a shame.
Yeah, that seems fine. I like to knit and stuff. Somebody else can do the shearing and the whatevers to make the yarn. I've looked at doing all of that. I don't think I want to do 60 extra steps just to get some yarn to knit with, but
I mean, obviously,
just seems like it'd be a fun pet to curl up with.
my love of sloths is well known.
That's true. There's the sloth Pokemon.
So there's at least one, if not multiple, sloth Pokemons.
There may be more.
There's I mean, I'm not like the particular design of Slackoth or whatever is not like the best sloth. I feel like they could have come up with something better for that, but
I mean, there's always potentially a better sloth in the Pokemon future.
that's true. That's true. Anyway,
Maybe they'll make maybe one day they'll make like a different region variant that'll be cool, or you'll get like what they did with Meowth in Persian, and get a variant that makes you wonder what the heck. I still don't get. It just looks like they flattened its face and it's weird.
it's true. There's definitely lots of cat and dog. That I will say that of the dog Pokemon, I mean, obviously the bread dog, the bread dogs are pretty great.
Oh yeah, the bread dogs are good. I was gonna say Growlithe.
But the one that the guy has in Scarlet and Violet, that's like a big like Saint Bernard.
Oh right.
The one that the guy that you're going all the Titan that you're getting all the Titans for.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That you're like, ooh, let's spend the whatever 20 hours going around the world collecting things to make sandwiches, and get so that your dog, we can make your dog feel better.
Yeah.
And now let's beat the crap out of your dog over and over and over again.
For a game that
My boss stiff, yeah.
promised different storylines, they were all still just beat things up.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing.
Yeah.
But hopefully the next Legends game will be good.
Yeah. Oh man. Scarlet and Violet had serious problems.
Oh yeah.
The Team Star storyline, I did not understand at all. It was the weirdest thing. Anyway.
Yeah, we don't need to. Yeah, we don't need to do that.
But yeah, I'd be interested to see what the next Legends game would look like.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one because I really liked the last one.
But yeah, so this story, so this is, one of the things, and it's entirely possible, obviously people are combing through this leak. It's a lot of information. Stuff is coming out. New stuff is coming out. I saw a story today that was like, is there a Mew 3?
Surely we would call it something like Mew Try. Or not like just Mew 3.
What I'm saying,
or they'd have like a number 3, not like written out like we did with 2.
What I'm saying is that there's more there. It's entirely possible that we'll revisit more stories that came from, like we ended up doing quite a few stories that were actually like originated in the Nintendo Giga League.
That's true. It took a long time for people to like
things sort of trickled
find
out.
stuff and like find things of interest in that too.
Or sometimes people will like find something completely separate and be like, wait a minute.
Ooh, we call the next Mew Mutany.
Mutiny.
I don't know how you spell it.
And it's like a little pirate. He's like a pirate Mew.
Pirate Mew.
I feel like there aren't.
Honey Mew with a
I'm
pirate
sure
hat.
there are pirate Pokemon, but probably there's like a pirate parrot Pokemon.
Mew tried. That's good. I like that, Andra.
Or just like a world, like an area where it's just all the Pokemon are the same, but they all have eye patches.
So the like a dragon version of Pokemon is what you're saying.
Yeah. It's just
Because
it's just
they're doing a pirate game, so everyone should just convert to pirate games, except
Yeah.
for the pirate games, which I guess we'll have to do something else now.
yeah, and then Skull and Bones can, change into a farm sim.
Wait, maybe it could be like a fish farm sim,
There you go.
so they can still keep the water element.
Let's move on. Speaking of future games, to talk about Disco Elysium.
We kind of talked about some of this last week, didn't we? Because that information was more available to us than say to ChillPoint.
Yeah, we talked about it on ChillPoint, and I think at that point,
Like it was just kind of starting up.
I think at that point there were two, or possibly
there were like 4,
anyway.
and then now there's like 1 million. I don't know.
Yeah. Disco Elysium, if the objective was to destroy Zaum Studio, they have failed. They have merely spread the people from Zaum to all different places, and they've started up their own.
So
it's like
it's
they're
just,
they're like seeds.
It's the plot of the first Sailor Moon series. You have the silver crystal. It's great. Bad things happen. It breaks up into 7 rainbow crystals, and now we have like those. And once we collect all of them, it'll become whole again.
So which is like the fire studio and which is the ice studio?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the earth studio?
That's how that'll work. You'll have to play them all to really fully make that conspiracy theory of a timeline that you're all definitely going to be working on work.
And now there's so I mean obviously all of these studios are very much in, and I mean I would venture that it isn't a coincidence that a bunch of them announced all at the same time. They probably, I don't know if coordinated with each other, but at least we're like, oh, we should probably do our thing at the same while they're doing it. They aren't like, what? You did it this weekend? We're doing it. Oh no.
Yeah, they were all at like some sort of grieving party for like
maybe like the
celebration. I don't know.
Maybe like the Zaum employee Slack is still operational.
They all still
hang out there.
Somebody all still talks.
And shit posts.
They all still go to the same bar or cafe and see each other and like, hey, so we're thinking of doing this thing. Us too, yeah.
But
we'll see which one survives. It's this is the new battle royale system. We don't play the video games that are battle royales anymore. We watch dev studios do, and whoever can make a game that I guess succeeds in the market necessarily or can get there.
Now,
they win.
For those, I mean, there was actually quite a well done documentary by people who game or something. I don't know. Some people did a very well done documentary about what happened with Zaum Studios. I don't know actually how to pronounce that, but I will say that it sounds like certainly in the last period, it was a pretty toxic environment. Like there was all sorts of, and not unlike a lot of the cases. Not like there's some sort of auteur developer who's harassing everybody.
Awful.
It was like way more complicated. There was like investors that came in and did like a hostile takeover from outside. It was like a whole thing. And so it was not a good environment. So like, I think it's probably healthy that people have moved into different places. Theoretically, I believe Zaum Studio still exists, but it's pretty much as like a shell of its former self.
Yeah, I mean that'll happen.
So we'll see what happens with that. But and yeah, we'll see as Graham said in this story. Will these studios be able to replicate the success of Disco Elysium? Who knows? But I will say that the idea of some of that DNA of kind of the really sort of interesting style of RPG that was Disco Elysium or is Disco Elysium, kind of making its way out and being integrated into other games and stuff in whatever form, maybe the RPGs or whatever. But that creativity, and I think that is a positive, and I'm very interested to see what games come out of it. Hopefully, some will. Some might not, some might. We'll see. But I think it is a positive that there's all these things going on, all these games being made. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see because I think ages ago when the first you hear about the blow up of the studio and things being bad, basically the consensus was, well, Disco Elysium is done now. The end. Which
at the time they were theoretically working on Disco Elysium too.
In a lot of cases, it's okay. It's okay for a game to be good and not spawn a franchise.
Exactly.
That is perfectly fine. But it's kind of interesting to see how many games are, because what is it? The is it Myst that has a bunch of spiritual successor style games?
Myst has
but like thought there was
Myst has a bunch of actual sequels too, but
yeah, but
I mean it also
it's something that kind of like
kind of a genre almost.
It's something that kind of like pops up one at a time here and there, right? Where it's like, oh, there's a new Myst sequel, spiritual successor, something. I don't think I've ever seen one game go down and then a bunch of people at the same time say they're working on the sequel, spiritual successor kind of thing. And
I'll be honest, for the purposes of the story, we struck out. Not all of the people making these have explicitly said they're working on a spiritual successor to Disco Elysium. Some of that is editorializing.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It's we know where these people who worked on this team went, and so we have expectations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them have said that. Some of them haven't. In the little brief, obviously, any games that they're making are very, very much in, just conceptual stages. Some of them sound like they could be a Disco Elysium-esque kind of experience. Some of them sound like they might be something totally different. So we don't know.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway.
The future hasn't happened yet, and my Magic 8 Ball is out of commission.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. I will say that I'm more interested in what these people might come out with than, for example, the Midnight Society.
Oh, I've never cared what the Midnight Society is doing. I'm actually just more mad that they have that name because Are You Afraid of Dark used it.
And as we talked about a little bit in the, I think in the made it into the outro or the after show, the Summer Eternal goes hard on their webpage. I don't know what they're doing in terms of the video game they're making, but they're laying down some pretty heavy things.
Yeah.
Now, the like co-owned between all the workers and the players rang a few alarm bells for me as well as for people, some people watching. We'll see how that pans out, but Anyway,
I'm just gonna wait for more news to drop. Like beyond us talking about this right now, I'm probably not gonna think about this again until the next time.
and that
There's
is as it should be.
So many other video games and things for me to do and think about. I can just slide this one into the later pile when actual news happens.
Speaking of things that you could think about
Oh no!
in other games,
On this place,
Ketsu,
in this time,
Ketsu Battler,
Ketsu Battler.
which, look, we know that, when you're like, hey, this is a game that you have a sword coming out of your butt and you sword fight with it, and here's a video. I know we know what you're from a promote. Obviously, it's a silly thing.
Yes, definitely.
And it's going to get put in all the oh, here's a weird thing.
Here's a weird thing.
Here's a random piece of news.
Here's some good fluff news we could put out today that's not all bad.
But I mean, come on. You put the Switch controller into like the back of your pants or your belt or whatever.
That's what they said.
And then you fight with your butt. And
you're not gonna show us somebody actually doing it?
No. In the gameplay video that they show like people fighting, and then they show them doing like flips and things. And it's like, wait, if the motion thing is doing a flip, what is the person in real life doing?
It's not a flip.
Do I have to be able to backflip in order to play this game?
That would make for because like what is it when they show off Ring Fit, right? They show people doing exercises and stuff in those commercials. It would make for a fun commercial to have somebody who is a gymnast playing the game so that you can see them doing backflips. That's probably not what's going on. I still want to see we sit through so many things where Nintendo will be like, hey, look at, and I didn't even know this is not like a Nintendo made game, but where they're like, oh, we made sports. Watch these two people play volleyball and do the thing. And I'm like, please, I want to see somebody with the Joy-Con controller in the waistband going, because it's silly.
Doing an ad. If this was being distributed by like Devolver Digital, I could see them doing.
Oh, they definitely
do like an ad that's like that like standard shot that Nintendo always does. That's like the POV of the television, in like a really nicely and weirdly empty living room. So there's lots of space, and there's like a couple people sitting on the couch and a couple people playing, and they're all like really happy and into it, except they're sword fighting with their butts.
Yeah, I saw. I know, like most people will compare like some of this to some of the 1-2 Switch games, because there's like the milking the cow one that definitely looks like a different gesture.
Or some WarioWare stuff.
I saw some WarioWare stuff will kind of get in there. I know I saw some people bring up in comments on the article Kaiju, which is the sports anime about battling with your butt. That's very weird and a little horny, but that's expected.
Oh, really? Only a little?
Well, I personally think it went overblown into the other direction where you just kind of get grossed out by it. But that was me. I'm sure somebody found it horny.
There was definitely some, I don't know about like actually sword fighting or whatever, but there's definitely some WarioWare games that involve like shaking your butt or whatever. Like they had you stand like this or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had to like...
Yeah, there's definitely that. No, you're right. I didn't pronounce all 8 exclamation points that were in that title, but honestly, I don't have that kind of energy on some of my most hyped days. Never mind today.
Anyway. It's in the Nintendo, the Japanese eShop. I think it actually has been released, or maybe not.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. This is, as far as we know, just a Japanese only game at the moment. Probably not. I mean, it could come out in other eShops, but there was nothing indicating that was like a plan currently. I did see one comment on ChillPoint that said they should have called it Torkin. Because
as in Tekken,
because it's right there. That's very clever. I think, and I could see that being a thing for like, I could see that being a joke mode in Tekken. More than I could see them actually calling it that. Chances are good if it gets brought over, it'll just be called Ketsu Battler or Butt Battler or something like that. But you're right. It was very clever of you, and I'm acknowledging you.
Get a pat on the back.
Enjoy that internet cookie. I don't give them out often.
Let's move on to a mobile game. Destiny Rising.
I don't think I want to play this game.
Oh, but you're such a huge
Destiny fan. I know.
Huge Destiny player.
So looking forward to this. I mean, after all, I have a phone, Paul. It's like made for me.
Literally, it is made for people with phones.
Yeah. Although that scythe does look really cool. I don't know anything about this game other than what was said in that story, and I'm like, they're right though. Scythe looks cool. It's purple, glowy.
Purple glowy scythe.
Yeah. I'm still not going to play the game clearly, but yeah, all right.
I've definitely.
I'd buy a sticker of it.
I saw a few comparisons to like Diablo Immortal.
Okay.
Not in a positive way, as you might guess.
Yeah, probably not.
So we'll see. And they talk about like one of the things about this is, they talk it's sort of alternate Destiny timelines. They don't have to worry about the mythology of the main Destiny game. And also that like you're not playing you're playing like specific people rather than like a class. You play as they're actually sort of named characters and stuff, which of course is important when you get the the gacha pulls.
Oh yes,
you want to make sure you don't just want to have like random dude. You want to have like.
Wait, this is a gacha game too?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay,
yeah.
So I should say, I don't know if that has been actually
determined, or that's just a thing we're expecting.
It's being made by NetEase, so everyone's like, clearly
okay, so it's expectation rather than
Yeah.
Currently revealed info.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I usually don't have much against gacha games anyway. I just know I'm not going to play this one. So, like, an additional term doesn't make me go, oh, yes, I've changed my mind now.
And I mean, Destiny has loot boxes and stuff in it anyway.
That's true.
So it's not that big a jump, really.
No. You can jump really high in Destiny, though. So maybe it's like a mid jump.
It's true. And then finally, we have the Overwatch marketing for their new for the skin on a. I don't think we even wrote out. We didn't even put what character.
Nope, we were just talking about their feet, their grippies.
Oh, Kiriko.
Grifters,
grippers. Yeah, that they're not just like, hey, here's a new skin for this character. Oh, coincidentally, she has bare feet. They're like, let's show it really close.
I mean, I'm not familiar with the world that this game is in.
Oh,
but I feel like if I had feet that were like that, I also wouldn't wear shoes because they probably wouldn't come in my size.
She also has like really spiky toenails. Like she would rip up any socks that she was wearing.
Yeah, again, this world is not made for this character.
She's at least going to be wearing sandals.
Sandals, maybe, yeah. On like a hot so your feet don't burn on the concrete when you go out for walkies. I don't know.
The fact that
It was all about how the social media put out like kind of a weird foot post, right? And people were like, why?
So people put like, this is that it's that thing of like social media people, you know, when you're a company with an IP, like how much do you play, like, you know, how people are viewing your characters in a lot of ways. You're probably doing research.
Oh, you just have those numbers.
But how much do you play into that?
Every video game knows when you've placed the camera at people's feet and just stared at it for a very long time. They've all those numbers.
But it's like how much do you play into that as a marketing thing? And that is a tightrope. You know, that is a dangerous road. You can do some very fun, you know, it can result in some very good and fun community engagement, but then all it takes is a slight turn and it can go wrong on you very easily.
Yeah, that's just living. That's just life, Paul. Everything can go great. Everyone likes me. Oh no, I did the slightly wrong thing.
Oh no, I first posted a thirst tweet about...
I thought we were all okay with this.
But there is a certain aspect where it's like, hey, we can
do it.
We can thirst after it, but if you do it, now it's weird.
Yeah, so it's a hard balance, right? Like I feel like indie game devs can get away with a lot more than say bigger studios, because then a bigger studio that's backed by like maybe a huge corporation, you look at it and you're like, oh no, you're just trying to be cool and you're trying to do memes, and we know you don't think that way.
Right. And there's the aspect of like when you think you're sort of subverting the corporate thing, it's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, it's that like, hello, fellow kids. It's like when the corporate thing tries to also do that. It's like, no, it's not cool.
Like,
it's not cool anymore.
You can't do it.
It's not fun anymore.
You can't rage against the machine if you're the machine.
Right.
Right? Like,
the machine is not allowed.
You can't subvert the corporation when you're the corporation.
The machine is not allowed to join the raging club.
No. It's not how that works. The villain can't come to the good guy party. When we've been fighting you all this time, unless you get reformed and you go through a complete like reversal arc, but it's beside the point.
For those of you just tuning in, we are indeed relating thirsting after video game characters' bare feet to raging against the machine.
If you've just tuned in, this is maybe not the best time to like make initial impressions of us as people, but I promise you, hold on, we'll turn that around. Maybe go back to the beginning of the episode where we introduce each other and we're like, cool.
Anyway,
don't just watch this part. This is a terrible part to come in on.
Let's move on to talking about something else.
Yeah, what else do you want to talk about?
Like for instance, would you like to see all your Nintendo 64 games in 4K?
You're talking about the new analog thing. That's
so many more Ks than they initially came with, like 0.3 Ks. Maybe 0.4 Ks. And now they have it's like 10 times more Ks than they had previously.
So I believe the pre-order for this goes up in a few days.
Yeah.
It's a device that is they've got one in black and they've got one in white, and there's like a controller you can get for it, but it has the ports for I think the original controllers if you want. I am curious to see. I haven't seen any footage of like
what the upscale
looks like, which I would want to see before doing this. But I am actually tempted. This is dumb. I'm tempted to buy this thing because it can hook into your HDMI, just so I can play Ogre Battle 64 off my original cart and not have to try to play the version off of the Wii U.
I mean, it's one of the things that some folks talked about in the comments was that $250 for
It's actually pretty good.
for an N64. It sounds expensive, but a 4K upscaling HDMI N64. Like there are currently boxes that you can get where you can sort of allows you to mod a standard N64 to play over HDMI and upscale, and those are like $400.
Yeah.
So you'd be stupid, it's like, so you're really saving money in a way.
Yeah, I mean, Analog typically makes their stuff in small batches, so I expect this will, the pre-orders for this will sell out immediately, and then they'll get some more and that kind of thing.
You're definitely going to have to set your alarm. Like it wasn't until like a couple of years that Analog Pockets were like routinely available.
Yeah, and it's not like I need one of these things, and I'm not gonna join the pre-order because I'll get one later maybe. I need them to re-release Ogre Battle 64 on the Switch, so I can continue to try to play it and fail constantly.
One of the interesting things, and Beej brought this up a little bit, talking about this in the after show, but so Analog's whole thing is they use something called an FPGA, a field programmable gate array. Basically, it means it's a piece of hardware that they can program it to act exactly as the chips on an N64 or whatever the device is originally acted as, not just from a software perspective, but we're talking from an actual hardware perspective. So all the electronics are actually operating the way. So theoretically, it should operate the way an N64 operated, including bugs in the hardware and all that kind of stuff. And so from an emulation perspective, you're getting as pure an experience as possible. And one of the things, and Analog has done this for the Analog Mini or Analog Pocket and the Analog NT as well. And they talk about in this article on Ars Technica about this. They talk about that the Analog Pocket has an FPGA board with 49,000 logic elements on it, like different little things that can be changed. And this one, the N64 one, has 220,000 logic elements. It took them something like 3 or 4 years to figure this thing out and get it going. And as Beej talked about in the thing, we're getting to the point like there's definitely a cutoff where emulation in this fashion with the FPGA stuff no longer makes sense. As consoles, as we go back in time and come forward, and consoles start getting more and more, for lack of a better word, like computery, like closer and closer to what we would consider to be like a standard computer now. These sort of hardware emulation thing gets harder and harder to do, and the time between when the amount of sort of processor and server or processor and silicon and computer technology we need to sort of emulate the previous generation gets more and more and more to the extent that it stops becoming that practical to do it. So we'll see. I don't know where that line is. I think we're probably getting pretty close to it where emulating say a PS1 in this way, I would guess wouldn't make much sense, and certainly a PS2 and stuff, because now they're into now you're starting to emulate these special different chips and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I imagine they will probably sell less of these overall than say the Pocket itself, just because the Analog Pocket, I have one, is fantastic. Lets you play I mean, you have to get like a couple adapters for certain things, but it basically lets you play so many different consoles stuff that
Well, one of the
it's like getting multiple devices in one.
yeah, one of the really interesting things is that the analog pocket. I don't know quite how this worked out in terms of the cost, but the analog pocket actually has two FPGAs in it. One that they set up to do the the basically what you bought it for, and then it had a completely separate FPGA in it that was basically unused. That was deliberately put in there for hacking, basically. And people have used that to do all sorts of cool, fun things. And that is a neat aspect. And unfortunately, with the this N64 one, they are not able to do that because that would make the price too bad. They've had to remove that.
Yeah.
So
It's one of those things, right? Where it's like when you think of the people who want a thing, functionality wise, like the pocket's just like a really, especially if you like portable gaming.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like it's got a lot going for it.
And that's and there's a lot more.
And the fact that like you can have you can get the little dock so you can stream it out and use a controller on it and stuff is
it's
really
definitely
nice.
I think the pocket is definitely the sort of sweet spot for something like this. But anyway,
really should just emulate Ogre Battle 64.
I feel like Ogre Battle 64. It's like your white whale, because you've talked about it before, and like you've played like the first like hour of it a whole bunch and then never
The first
got anywhere.
like few hours, I just like once the ogres show up, I get trounced because I'm not playing that game optimally at any point ever, and and I just really love the design of the bean people, the little pawn dudes, and
so you like the
and,
battle part, but not so much the ogre part.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
It's like the ogre battle is great until the ogres show up.
Yeah, essentially, I'm doing pretty good. I even like escorted that prince dude just fine, even though he won't stop walking like an idiot. But no, I love that game. One day I'll maybe get an ending. Probably not, but that's fine.
Are speaking of things having an ending? Well, who knows?
Okay.
So I'll be honest with you. I did not know that Plants vs. Zombies 3 had already come out.
I didn't know there was a third one.
Yeah.
At all.
Apparently it was launched into beta earlier in the year and they've been doing a soft launch of it.
Okay.
Which I'm assuming just means they haven't marketed it at all.
Is it just more Plants vs. Zombies 1, or has it become a different thing at this point?
Well, I think it's, from what I can gather from the extremely negative feedback that it got, it's closer to Plants vs. Zombies 2, which a lot of people didn't like, but more. To make, so it's, more microtransactions.
I played the heck out of the first one when it came to mobile, when it was on mobile. I think it was just a mobile game. Had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Did all the things that you could possibly do. Did whatever. And then lost my save and was like, cool, never playing this game again. And I remember when they brought out the first person shooter style game, and that was about it.
Garden Warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is really a shame what EA did to PopCap. Like PopCap was, I have on multiple occasions, I have thought about and remembered either Plants vs. Zombies or Peggle, and been like, oh, those games were so good.
Yeah.
Downloaded them, played them for like half an hour, and realized that the new EA version was just so egregiously either non-functional or filled with microtransactions or whatever that like I literally couldn't play it, and I was just like, This makes me sad.
Bejeweled was definitely another one. Yeah, I used to play the heck out of Bejeweled on my phone, and then that upgraded into something else, something different, something I did not like.
Yeah. So that makes me sad. But so yeah, where the story is going is Plants vs. Zombies 3 is being taken down for an overhaul.
Oh. Okay.
So, you know,
Some
the
severe
game that
gardening
nobody
must
knew was
happen.
actually out is going away.
Oh. How fast did it take them? Do you know?
Longer than some other games you might want to mention.
Oh, I'm sure they've been out a little bit longer. I'm just curious now. Feels like the new measuring stick of, oh, hey, this game's going away that you didn't hear of. Oh, yeah? How long has it been out? Like a month? Oh. Okay.
I love this. This is one of these. There's these great. See if you can.
Came out in January?
Yeah. Well, at least in beta or alpha or test or whatever.
January. I don't remember hearing
See
about
if you
this
can.
game.
See if you can read between the lines in this statement here. Okay. Hey, Neighborville residents. We've been grateful for your enthusiasm and feedback during our soft launch.
Oh, that's the start of a rejection letter.
We've always had love. We've always had love for our plants, and yes, even our zombies. And it has been a joy bringing life to Dave, his niece, Patrice, Nate, and many more in Plants vs. Zombies 3. It's clear we're on to something great, and following the recent releases of Choose Your Seeds and the manual activation of Grapes of Wrath, we want to go even further to make the game truly special. That's why we're taking the game offline for a major overhaul. We can't wait to share what's taking root. That's in italics.
Because, you know, it's not enough to just make the pun. You have to really make sure people can see it.
I love enthusiastic feedback as a as a euphemism for angry people yelling at you.
So, are you done reading?
There's the rest.
I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
you.
the rest of this is just like what's happening to your in-game purchases.
So
and
last
stuff.
night, I was going through some old files because we have this like plastic filing cabinet kind of thing. We wanted to take some stuff out of a cardboard box and put all the papers in the plastic one, so it's a little, safer. And I was digging through to get rid of old junk I didn't need anymore. You go through your filing cabinet every now and then, right? And I was like,
sure.
Good. I definitely
do that.
I got rid of all of this extra weird pieces of paper and stuff. And then Beach found another one hanging out, and he's like, what is this? And I looked at it, and it was a rejection letter from back in, I lived in Edmonton, so it was like it would be like 2010, something like that. And it had that cheerful start of like, we are so happy that you applied and everything's great, but I don't think that. And I'm like, oh yeah, neat. Why did I keep this? Why did I keep this rejection letter for this job that I didn't get? I was so sad about it. This was supposed to take me out of retail into an office position. It did not.
Do you want to blast the company that rejected you now? Do you even remember them?
Their name was so boring, I don't recall it.
In
fact, when I looked at it, I was just like, who are these people?
The greatest insult that you can pay to them. Like, it's not that I'm mad. I literally don't even remember who you are.
Remember you. It took me several minutes to remember why I had this thing in the first place. Yeah.
Bam.
But yeah, rejection
Roasted.
letters, huh?
Whoever wrote that letter back in whatever.
It's probably a form letter. I mean,
yeah, whoever wrote that letter is like, oh man. These days it would probably be like ChatGPT or something. Yes. You think your rejection matters? To me, it was a Thursday. Wait, no, that implies that you've been rejected a lot, which is not good.
Yeah, that line's more like, oh, you juggled chainsaws. To me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, I prefer it to be Tuesdays. If you like Thursday better, absolutely, definitely take your Thursdays. I like Tuesday in my week analogy.
We finally made it, everyone. It's Sonic's 30th anniversary.
But wait, breaking news: Disco Elysium something. This would work better if I had anything to say about it. What's the what
No,
is the
Disco Elysium
what
can't
is
save
the-
us this
What
time.
is the Sonic news in which we did not deign to tell people about, even though nothing was really written about it? What important thing is happening during Sonic's 30th anniversary, Paul?
Well, do you
The
remember?
people
Do
want
you
to
know
know.
the famous and well-loved Sonic character, Terios?
Who?
You know, the
Don't-
famous, well-loved Sonic character, Terios.
I do not know this character.
Terios.
I watch a lot of Sonic stuff. How do I not? This is not a Sonic character. You're making up a thing.
I love this because this is
Shit
like
up.
a straight-up Mortal Kombat origin.
Okay.
In the sense, like, so Terios is Sonic, but he's the Terios design is what Shadow was gonna look like when they were just like, let's do Sonic, but make him a black hedgehog, like make the hedgehog, the blue stuff, black,
Oh, but
and
edgy.
like that's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then they were like,
Wait.
okay, we'll put more effort into that.
So wait, this is a design that never happened.
So
Or-
it was only released here. Terios has only been released as like a skin for Sonic in several games, apparently.
That's not okay. If you make a, when I wear different clothes, I don't get a different name unless I'm like doing some.
If you wore
Oh,
a different
man.
skin, I would call you a different name, probably.
I have to get a whole skin. Whose skin do I get? I want to know how much room I have. Somebody taller than me, right? So I can like wear it like a hoodie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like to have room in my clothes.
Also, he's got a scar, apparently.
Well, of course he does. He's edgy.
But what I was saying, Mortal Kombat, is because like there are at least 2 or 3 characters that have become canonical Mortal Kombat characters that started out as either glitches or rumors that didn't actually exist, or various other things like or Easter eggs. And they're like, no, that guy. It's like, no, the Noob Saibot, which is just the names of the 2 developers backwards, and was a silly joke. No, he's got like a huge backstory. He's like a guy who's actually really important to the Mortal Kombat plot, and he's beyond a thing. Or like Scarlet, who was some people thought that it was a hidden character, but it was actually it was actually like in the debug menu, one of the menu options was truncated weirdly, so they thought that there was like an extra character, but it was actually just like it was just a menu option to go to something else. People were like, who is this person? And so they made a character for that.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, right. Emac was also who like later became like error macro. Anyway, it's silly. And this kind of reminds me of that because it's like this was never actually.
It does. It
Yeah.
does
So
have
Terios the Hedgehog. I was sure that like Terios would be like something backwards, but no, it's just like Sarah.
definitely has a OC don't steal
Yeah,
feel to
definitely,
its
yeah.
design.
But yeah, so Terios is the concept for what would be Shadow.
What would become Shadow?
Would become Shadow,
okay.
but then they were like, we should put more effort into this.
Wow.
We should give him guns.
It was Friday. Dang.
Helldivers patches. Everyone loves Helldivers patches. Especially
Well, yeah, because you can put them
people-
on your clothes, and then people can be like, "Ha, you play Helldivers," and you're like, "Yeah, I have a Helldiver patch."
Especially
That's not the kind of patch you mean, huh?
no. The players of Helldivers, particularly, are the ones who like Helldivers patches because they change everything in the game.
Yeah, people like it when they've figured out a game and then everything
Always.
changes on them, and then their cool lightning glove thing doesn't do lightning like it used to,
Now,
or does it more?
Now, to be fair, Arrowhead, the developer of Helldivers 2, has had, it's been a little bit rocky in terms of their patches. They did some patches that people did not like. There was a situation, we talked about this like a while ago, but there was a situation where they were like, people are playing the game wrong.
Okay. You don't get to tell people that.
But it was like in the sense that because of how we balanced the various weapons and stuff, like it made more sense to shoot the bad guys like, somewhere else rather than their vulnerable spot. And so we're like, people aren't playing it right. We're gonna like adjust some of the balance to encourage people to play it the way that we envisioned that people would play it. But in the last couple patches, Arrowhead, so they got a lot of pushback on that, because they nerfed a bunch of stuff and people were very mad. So Arrowhead in the last couple patches, and they've really tried to make them all sort of very positive patches, sort of up things rather than make things better rather than bring things down.
Yeah.
Even though like from a balance standpoint, either one is sort of an equally valid decision, but it feels better to have like numbers go up. So they released a patch in September, and people quite liked that one. It buffed a bunch of stuff, and it seemed to work pretty well. And so now they've released a new patch that is changing quite a few things. Like they've done a balance pass on almost all of the weapons, and then they've changed armor and stuff. Some of the things that I thought was particularly interesting. So throwing knives. This is a game where you have like
Projectiles.
5 different grenades,
Oh,
types
cool.
of grenades that you can throw. So throwing knives might not seem like that strong an option.
Is one like just a confetti grenade? It doesn't actually do any damage, but confetti comes out.
I don't think so, but that would be fun.
It sounds fun.
I
Sounds
feel
very
like
festive.
I feel like the guy on your team that took the loadout of confetti grenades rather than high explosive grenades probably isn't really popular.
I'm not going to be the helpful player. I'm just going to be the one that's supportive in everybody else's decisions.
Yeah, you're the morale booster.
Yeah. Confetti grenades.
So anyway, throwing knives were cool, but they weren't very strong. And so now they've upped it. So instead of being able to take 8 with you, you can now take 20 throwing knives.
Yes, that sounds
Which,
good.
presumably you just have like just bandoliers of throwing knives all over your body when you go in.
Yes. Like if you're going to take 8 knives is a good number in the sense of like, that's a lot of knives to throw. And if you accidentally lose one, you still have like a pencil you can lend to your classmate who's forgotten theirs kind of deal. But 20 knives, that's the point where you're getting to fashion. That's great.
I always remember one of the things that I always remember about, it was in the very first, this blew my mind in the very first Assassin's Creed game. There's various problems in the original Assassin's Creed game, but from a technology standpoint, it had some really neat stuff. And one of them was, your guy has throwing knives. Mm-hmm. And I think you can get up to 20, and you get, like, he has like a holster on his arm. And then when you get more than 5, he gets a holster on his other arm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then when you get more than 10, he gets a holster on his leg and then a holster on his other leg.
I don't understand why all these people want to put them on those parts. You could wear them like a belt.
But the great part though is that the they actually did the first 5 knives, you'll go like, and then he'll like reach down and start throwing.
Oh, neat. Yeah,
like
okay, that's good.
They had all the animations right for where he pulled the knife from.
I like
was
that.
like, they didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't. But I like that they did.
Anyway.
It's like extra credit, really. It's like you don't have to go that far in your animations, but when you do, it is appreciated.
Some of the other things what I like about Helldivers is that, you know, they do a lot of stuff sort of like in universe.
Mm-hmm.
So like your gun upgrade. So they don't do this all the time, but a lot of the time when they do like patches or stuff from the developers, it'll be like in universe. And so like your gun upgrades will be like, we've researched stuff and now we've got new ammo for your gun, rather than just like guns get plus 5%. Go.
Yeah.
And so I like this. They changed anti-tank mines. So now the mines only trigger when heavy units like Chargers and Hulks move over them, and they do a lot more damage. So again, this is like one of those interesting things, like people are playing the game wrong, right? Where it's like, you've got a thing that's like an anti-tank mine, but if they didn't set it up correct, people are like, oh, we can just throw this wherever we want, and it'll be a cool mine thing to explode.
It's just an explosive then at that point. Yeah.
And it's like, no, we want people to use it as like what we intended it for. So we're going to make it so that it doesn't actually trigger unless something really big lands on it.
Right.
And we're going to make it do more damage, so then that it's more of an impact. Which I kind of like that. That's a fun thing. Oh yeah, also, they have canonized, as in turned it into real in-game canon.
As opposed to they built a cannon.
I mean, they may have done that as well, but they have canonized John Helldiver, who they have, in response to their. In response to the approval of a newly installed cannon on the automaton Hulk Bruiser's Super Earth High Command has sent a crack commando to sabotage their production facilities. The skilled operative promptly escaped into the shadows after completing the mission. Today, still wanted by the automatons, they survive as a soldier of fortune. If you have a problem and no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can enlist. John Helldiver. He's the A-team, but Helldiver.
Dear Mr. Helldiver, please join our team.
Yeah. So anyway, little patch note silliness.
Yeah. Oh, I hope they're having fun. I think the last time we talked about them, it was the whole Sony login, whatever.
Yeah, they
mess
seem to.
And
that seems to have, I won't say blown over, but people have either accepted it or left.
Yeah, it's not like didn't they like.
I think Sony actually
didn't they? Yeah,
they rolled it back.
I thought they rolled it back for a bit. Like it just hasn't happened again, but yeah.
We talked a little bit about this thing with the Nintendo Museum. Emulating the caught emulating games. It is very much literally the entire like they've been caught emulating games. What could they be using? What if they're using an open source emulator and they're not distributing the source code while they're doing stuff? This is all based on somebody heard a USB disconnection noise when they unplugged the controller, which is like a Windows. That's the only piece of information that we have actually gotten.
Are they running them off of a PC? Possibly. That's a huge possibility. That doesn't mean much of anything beyond the speculation. I don't know how Nintendo programs their games most people don't program them directly onto the system that they're programming for. They program them on something else and then test them and do other stuff. There's like lots of other ways. So who knows?
And like, and yeah, the idea that there's some sort of additional level of that, you know, Nintendo is, or sort of irony that they're using an emulator when they've been cracking down on emulation.
But they also use emulators to do like Nintendo Switch Online and other things.
Yeah, they've
like
been using emulators
like,
for years. There's nothing new about this, I don't think. I mean, I remember like with the SNES Mini and the NES Mini, again, was using an emulator. I think there was a question about whether they were using open source technology, open source software, and weren't producing stuff. I don't know if anything came out of that.
Not really sure.
So this seems like a very sort of non-story.
I feel like it's just a lot of, okay, there's plenty of reasons to not like Nintendo if you don't. There's plenty of reasons to be angry at them for several things.
Yeah.
I will not deny that. This feels like just a thing to get mad if you're already mad, and to not care if you don't already care. Like it is kind of like, I don't think there's anything to this, really.
Yeah, it's just the sort of the idea that it's just like, ha, I gotcha, is like, eh.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just tired of the we got them this time, folks. Mentality.
I'm excited for if it is indeed Windows. They're if indeed running on Windows thing. I'm excited for when it opens. You know, after it's open to the public and people are going in. Some random photos of like the Windows update pop up over the screen. Like you see that on like at like airports and stuff sometimes on their like big displays.
Or occasionally I've seen it in like malls if they have the big like poster sized displays that are supposed to show you maps and stuff. Those are always funny.
Yeah, the public blue screen of death. So anyway, we shall see. I like that the Nintendo Museum keeps sort of
popping up,
spitting out little stories.
Well, it's going to, like, I think the last one was hey, we've seen stuff at their museum shop, right? And it's like giant Wiimote pillows and lots of mugs and that kind of thing. And we're probably going to see stories for it pop up, because I don't know if it's actually open yet, but I believe October was when it was supposed to open. So it's either open now or it's going to open soon. And then, over the next couple of months, we'll probably see all the people on the internet who go for trips, who start taking videos and doing stuff to show off things. And then I assume by sometime next year, they'll drop the whole enter a lottery in order to get your tickets. Because that's just a thing to do when you...
Hopefully that'll be in time for next time you and Beej want to go over there.
That's the hope. I mean, we'd like to go. We're not totally... we haven't, like, solidified plans for going to Japan, but, like, we're kind of noodling about with that idea for sometime next year. And given that that's new and open, we'd like to go. Mm-hmm. If only to get a picture of the two of us trying to juggle a giant Wiimote together, I think would be fun. It'll mean we'll have some more weird pictures for you for ChillPoint when Beej does whatever his stories are.
Here's a nice yes, not nice in the sense that it has to be that it is a story, but in terms of reaction. So this is a story about the the joint CEO of CD Projekt Red, or CD Projekt, Mikhail Nowakowski, who so the people somebody put out a thing was like, whoa, insider. I got some insider information that things are really falling apart at CD Projekt Red, and it's especially they've got a lot of they're doing a lot of this woke hiring, and the DEI or they're emphasizing diversity over skill in their programmers or whatever, and things are really falling apart there, and so this guy came back, Novakovsky. Oh, that's better. So anyway, it's just nice to see CEO of a company, especially a company like CD Projekt Red, that is, that they're not only have created the huge Witcher franchise, but have their fingers in all sorts of different pies to come out so strongly. And he goes, "It seems we live in a time where anyone can record complete nonsense and make a story out of it. Yep. CDPR talent leaving? We have the lowest rotation of people in recent years. DEI-driven recruitment? We hire based on merit and talent alone, just as we have been making games driven by artistic vision alone. Why did we choose Unreal Engine? Because it enables us to work on our games more efficiently, and we remain cutting edge tech-wise. The Witcher 3 director left? Well, yes. 2 years ago." Can we stop looking at conspiracy theories and go back to making cool stuff? Basically, like, it was like, the Witcher 3 director has left because he didn't, because they were whatever. So anyway,
unfortunately, the truth is you can't really control the actions of other people, so you can't stop other people from being all conspiracy theory. You can't ignore those people to a degree. You might have to just stop reading the internet.
And also, just to make sure, just to be clear, in case there's any folks are concerned about the we hire based on merit and talent alone thing. CD Projekt does also, they are a signatory to the Diversity Charter in Poland, committing to non-discrimination in the workplace, as well as the introduction and policies that create and promote diversity. Because, of course, those things are not mutually exclusive.
It's true. Where was it? Strebit and hers. I fixed that. It should be on the website now.
Yeah. Our mission is to create. This is the CD Projekt's chief strategy officer. Says our mission is to create revolutionary games for players around the world, and that is why we need to empower the potential of our teams. The chief strategy officer says in a message shared on the studio's diversity and inclusion page, a diversity of perspectives unlocks creativity and increases innovation. Yeah, and as this is a story in PC Magazine saying it is pleasing to see pushback from high level industry executives for this kind of stuff. Please don't turn on the lights.
We have these rules for a reason.
What else we got going on here?
I mean, what's going to happen is they're going to leave the room. They're just not going to turn the lights off when they leave the room. That's the part that actually bugs me the most. People just leaving lights on everywhere. I've become old.
So the last bit of news I want to talk about. There's this kind of fun. There's this kind of fun story, or a story that Nintendo has disclosed the age demographic data for the Switch for the first time. So previously they just bundled all the data together.
I didn't see that in there.
This story that one of our mods brought to my attention. Who grabbed this one? Foxmore grabbed this one. It's very cool. So, saying in a recent presentation, Nintendo detailed the performance of the Nintendo Switch since its launch. And we can see the company revealed the age demographics in the hot console. So now, what I've seen a few people mention about this is it's like, why is there's this really weird giant spike at 21 or 22 years old? That seems weird.
Yeah.
Why would there be such a giant spike at that age?
2021. Because I had some income. I don't know. Why?
Because the Switch came out, what is it, 21, 22? So the Switch came out 4 years ago.
Yeah, keep going.
So when those people signed up to Switch, they would have been people who they would have wanted to mark themselves as being 18. So anybody who put in 18 as their age in their Switch thing when they first got a Switch would be there now. So basically, so anybody, so this would indicate that maybe some more than the than what statistics would indicate. More 18-year-olds signed up for Switch 4 years ago than one would have guessed.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true of like all of the platforms, because I don't have to pretend to be older to bypass like 18 plus things or being over 13, so I don't have to have like the kids account or whatever on things. But I'm pretty sure I'm not sure you can change the year of your birthday on an account on Switch, and that might be true of other accounts too. Like they expect you to
that it's sort of locked in.
Like it gets locked in, which feels problematic in the long run. But also like in the short run for certain things, because like I think if you have an account where you're under 13, but you need to have an online account in order to access certain stuff for the game that maybe your parents are buying for you or whatever.
Right.
How do you get those things?
Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, I better make an account where I'm 18. 17 would also put you in the spot. Yeah. It actually depends. I guess it depends on where you're coming from. But anyway, that rather conspicuous bump, which is kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, it's just in the digital age of like if all of your purchases are on your account and it says that you're 10 years older than you are, and then something happens where you have to prove that, or like something else happens.
Yeah, I feel
I don't know.
50 years down the line, there's going to be a surprisingly large number of like 85-year-old, 90-year-olds.
Sure. Maybe.
It's like, wow, it's amazing how much of the population is over 100.
Yeah, how'd they all do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's not that big of a deal. I just feel like it feels like something that has unintended consequences while trying to bypass stuff that is kind of in law, in the sense of like you can't just have kids under 13 on the internet, even though we all know that they're on the internet.
But I mean, up until, of course, in my day, we all knew that if you were under 13, it was physically impossible for you to click the button that says, I wish to continue.
It is. It's
the 13-year-olds don't know how to do that.
It's just this weird thing where, well, you try and it's like you just miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how the
They have,
computer knows
yeah, yeah.
that you're
But
that,
for
yeah.
some reason,
For some reason.
we've decided that we need more controls than the absolutely indefeatable push the yes button if you are over 13.
I mean, have you ever thought about how weird it is that you have to prove to a robot that you're the one who's human
That's true.
by doing tests?
Yeah. Tests that sometimes you fail too. That's the thing. It's like, oh my God, it's like a reverse Turing test.
Yeah.
The robot convinces you that you're a robot.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm convinced that I'm a robot, but I'm definitely convinced I'm not human some days. It doesn't take that much, to be honest. So, yeah.
What do you mean by a traffic light? Do you mean the light itself, or do you mean like the
whole
pole?
When you say bike, do you mean bicycle or like motorbike? Are you going to count the little tiny edge that does corner into this other picture or not? Because it's kind of there, but barely. Does that really count anymore?
I keep thinking that, so especially the ones that's like a stop sign or whatever. I want it to be like they'd be like, where, is there a stop sign or a pedestrian in this picture? Please answer within the next 3 seconds. It's very important that you tell me whether there's a stop sign or a pedestrian in this picture. Too late.
I mean, I did see what was it? There's like it's the trolley problem, right? I saw a two frame comic of the trolley problem where it's a person looking at the trolley problem with the, what do you do? And then the next frame was just everything was on fire. And I was like, yeah, it seems about right. I mean, I don't know how we got there, but that's how it's going to go.
Anyway.
We're all 21 forever.
Yeah. For demographic analysis purposes.
We're always all 21. It's okay. You don't have to be the same mental state you were when you were at 21, which is probably good for all of us. But we're all, unless you're 21 right now, no shade. But yeah, we're all 21 forever now.
Yeah, there's even
this is why there's a whole store
I was
dedicated
gonna say,
to
there's
it.
a store for that. Yeah.
There's a store for that.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. I think that's the last bit.
Surely there's no more news.
That's the last
After you
bit
find
of
out
news that I want to talk about.
After you find out you're eternal, like what more can you really tell someone?
It's true.
There's really just no more to say after that.
Much like Sonic, we are always celebrating our 21st birthday anniversary. So thanks everybody for joining us. And if you haven't watched this week's episode of ChillPoint, you should do so. If you're watching this on YouTube, it is probably somewhere near this video in the recommended stuff. We obviously would also very much appreciate it if you like this, to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, the LRVG channel. And if you want to become a member of this channel, you will get your name in the credits or at the end of the episode for a ChillPoint.
Yeah, we do try to update that when there's new stuff, to update that on the weekly.
Yes.
Occasionally, I think that's fallen through just because stuff gets busy or the episode doesn't happen that week. But we try our best.
And what more could you ask for?
Oh, you could always ask for more. That's just not going to happen.
And also, of course, the support of everybody through our Patreon, patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, or purchasing awesome things in our store, like this hoodie, for instance.
I don't wear anything lure related. Ignore me. Look at Paul. He's wearing stuff that belongs to us.
So, thanks for watching, and
Bye.
we will talk to you all later.